Welcome to Bloom Today. We have a moving show today. We're going to be asking, how important is it really to train up a child in the way they should go?
I had to make a decision, switch up the way I was living. I had to let go of yesterday, 'cause today I face tomorrow. I had to make a decision.
We talk about internal and external brokenness and how you can heal.
so that you can use the fertilizer of your past to bloom today. Welcome, everybody. Today we're having a moving show. Are we moving somewhere?
Where are we moving to? We already moved sets once. Are we going again?
I don't know, but I've moved I think it was 9 times in the last 10 years. So a moving show brings up all kinds of things for a single mom with 3 boys who's done a lot of moving recently.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's been a while since I moved, maybe about 7 years or so. But before that, I moved a lot and I had a lot of roommates. I had 20 roommates in the span of 7 years.
Wow.
That was a lot of moving in and out of me and other people.
Sounds like a lot of craziness.
It was a lot of craziness. I was very thankful for my childhood where I stayed in one place for 18 years. 13 years in one place. So yeah, that was important so that when I moved as a young adult, then I felt like I was on an adventure and seeing all kinds of new things. But I was really eager to get back and back to my roots and form some roots once I actually bought my house.
That is awesome. I thought moving meant like moving continents because I was like born in Peru in South America.
Oh,
so
yeah.
when I moved the first time ever, I moved literally halfway across the world and moved up to South Georgia, and talk about culture shock.
Yeah, well, then you also moved to Alaska and Canada.
Tiny bit of moving distance-wise.
So for you, moving means a really big move.
It means travel. Though the last 9 moves or whatever, those were all within 4 states. So, we were keeping it really tight and close because the states are all like near each other. So
It's a good thing God comes with us wherever we go.
It is, but it's so hard to find stability. And to find structure and to kind of get that attachment and those roots you were talking about in a space where it is pick up and go, pick up and go, pick up and go, because that by itself creates all kinds of issues with attachment, with connection to people. I mean, I was talking to my 17-year-old Justin, and we were realizing that where we live now in Tennessee is the longest we've lived in one place since he was born.
Wow.
So he's like, really, Mom? Like, this is the reason I feel like this is the home. But of course, now we're pending moving again.
Oh, gosh.
But it'll be a good move. We move this time. It's going to be really special. So I'm excited about that. But we are going to be talking more about not just how moving messes stuff up, and how all of our stability is in there.
That structure, that routine, that support system that we have around us, everything gets.
The friendships, the identity, the where you fit into the structure of things, everything
you're
changes.
recreating that sense of self every single time sometimes.
And it can be good opportunities.
can.
My son actually said, this is the first time I haven't wanted to move. Because before there was always a bad thing to get away from. So the move was maybe the next place will be better. Other moves can be, the next place could get worse.
Right.
Because things can be progressively worse when there's damage happening.
So you're training your child to learn how to move and make new friends and establish new patterns that way?
Yeah, and for me, it was always look at where can we find the good in this?
Right.
So the new place, the new job, the new situation, where can the good be? Because we had all experienced a lot of the bad. A lot of damage. A lot of the moves were because of damage, but then found out we were in a worse piece of damage.
So you were hopeful that something
Would be better.
But then it ended up to be something that was not meeting those hopeful expectations.
Yeah, not being better. And that's the thing. We don't have control over everything. And I don't ever want to not be hopeful. But there was a lot of years where I didn't know I could even be hopeful.
Right.
Because the reality was that tough.
Right. But then training your children also that God is in all of these things and all of these transitions, that he does come with them and he is interested in each one of those moves.
Yeah, and God has brought healing despite the bad circumstances.
Right.
And I am super grateful. Like I said, this time in Tennessee, it has kind of been accelerated healing. So all of this damage. And then it's like, oh my goodness, I can start breathing. Oh my goodness, I'm not getting hurt every day. Oh my goodness, there's actual real friends that are kind and loyal. Oh my goodness. And it's been a restoration time. So this move, instead of being one more place of difficulty and hardship and damage, was, wow, there's real healing and restoration. And training my children through the ups and the downs, through the damage and the restoration, that God is there for us and he's there to walk us through it. And he's there to give us the stability and peace that we may not get from the normal healthy attachment and growth and roots and stability. But you can dig some really deep roots really fast when you have that desperation of not having had roots. And when God's doing healing and restoration, he can restore a lot in a quick time frame. It hasn't meant that it's been easy, and it doesn't mean we're all the way there yet. We're all a work in progress. But I love the fact that I get the opportunity through the hardships and through the blessings to train my children and how they respond to it and how they see things, and to actually do that. But we know we can be trained in good, bad. We can be not trained at all and just abandoned. There's so many ways that this can work out, and that can then play out into our adulthood and become cycles, right?
Sure, absolutely. And it's been my honor to, as you walk through your healing process, and God has us obviously working together, walking alongside. So I've been able to see a lot of your healing process, and then how you've changed in training your children through your healing process, and just their ability and their skills to relate to each other and to the people around them with healthy understandings, healthy boundaries, healthy interactions, how they've matured and they've grown because they've watched how you've matured and grown through.
Well, I've been growing up at the same time as they have.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody
I won't
that.
Tell them.
I've been parenting them and myself, and being parented and regrowing, because so much of the growth was damaging before. So it has been regrowing up from the trauma stunted growth that I had emotionally, and learning to grow back up again. So I've literally gone through some teenage stages. I've gone through some young adult stages, some childhood stages in this trauma growth and healing process. And my kids have gotten to witness it. And they've also then said, oh, well, if mom can do that, then I can too.
Right.
And so I think the biggest gift I've been able to give them has been walking out my healing in front of them, which has been huge.
Yeah, I would agree. And they talk about, we were just mentioning, your hairstyle right before we started this, and we were mentioning that, and how that, I know that your sons were saying, no, we want you to keep, your long hair, because that was the healthy mom. That's what they associated with the healthier mother. And I love how you helped to transition them and help get them used to seeing you a little bit differently by, doing this hair from the long dark hair to this hairstyle in stages. And how you did that was so incredible, because you did it in a way where you mirrored each one of their own hairstyles on your way to this one.
Yeah, with pictures of that.
Yes, I love it. It's incredible. It's one of those things that really just reminds me of how God shows us, next step, this next step, this next step. Like here I am, I'm along with you, and I'm not leaving you, and I'm not abandoning you. I'm moving with you. And sometimes it's just those baby steps forward to help us to know that, hey, I'm here with you, and I'm walking alongside of you, and I'm not just going to do this, massive change. Although he does do massive changes sometimes, but he doesn't do it in a way where he's forcing it on us necessarily, where it's going to be damaging. He does it in a way where he's like, I'm coming alongside you and with you in this.
Yeah, and Justin actually helped me cut.
Yeah. He participated with it, as God does as well. It allows us to participate in the process. Yes. And our guest today is going to share a lot about her moves and her process of growing and changing as well. Mandy Arledge, who is the president of Eternal Heiress, which is a ministry that really reaches youth in detention centers, and hundreds of them. And I think it's such a beautiful heart that she has for them, and a mother of two as well. Yes. So I'm excited to have her on.
I am too, and I can't wait to see. She's so beautiful. I am super excited for everyone to get to meet her. Mandy, you're here. I'm super, super excited. A little jealous of your hair because, I kind of had that hair for a while, and our viewers over 40 episodes got to see me with long, curly, dark hair. And so I'm just letting you know I'm struggling with a little bit of envy.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm super excited that you're on here, and you're just glowing.
Thank you.
And
thank you for having me.
You have such a heart for the hurting and broken, and I know you didn't come by that easily.
No.
And in that way, I'm with you because I know that. And so I just love for you to tell us a little bit about the struggle, because we made it all about a moving show. And you moved how many times?
I believe it was 26 times before I was out of high school, or before I was 18.
Wow.
Yeah.
That gives no stability.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah. Was it a military family, or what was
No, it was all trauma-induced moving, sadly. Yeah, it was, a family. I would just kind of live between different family members. My mom was kind of in and out of the picture. I didn't meet my dad until I was 18, so I moved personally between different family members all those different times.
Wow.
And then, it was a pretty bad situation with my mom and stuff, so I ended up going into foster care and moved 3 times within that period. Wow. And then a group home, like a girls group home, and another shelter that I was in. So it was a lot in small periods of time that I would move. So.
Yeah, so it makes moving be the little thing that you were dealing with.
Yes.
It was the trauma and the situations that kept causing those moves.
Yeah.
And then the damage, because as your friend, I know that included a lot of physical abuse and a variety of other things.
Yeah.
But it feels like in your childhood, instead of being trained in a healthy environment with healthy people and whatever, you got trained that the damage and abuse was normal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's right. I thought that was normal. I grew up in that. Everyone was yelling, screaming, hitting, each other and me. And it was, very difficult. And so I thought that was very normal. And in fact, when someone saw marks on me at school one day, and she said, what happened to you? And I was like, well, my family member, pushed me up against the wall, and she was like, what? So she told my cheerleading coach, and then they called the state, and that's how I ended up, going into foster care and things like that. So it was a difficult time. And I think that the moving did take a back seat. I didn't even realize that was a big problem until I started seeing a counselor, and she was like, do you realize you moved 26 times before you were 18? I was like, no, I really didn't think about that, So, and she was like, well, that in itself is very traumatizing.
But that was the minor trauma compared to all the other
Exactly.
traumas that were way worse in that space,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's about perspective. And I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Really sorry for all of that damage, though I am really, really glad that you're using what you know about that and having experienced it and everything that came after, because I know it didn't stop at 18,
Yeah.
but that you're using that to help other, what I call hurting or broken little girls like us that have been through these pieces that we get to help.
Yeah.
But do you mind sharing a little bit more about how much worse it got before the help?
So I ended up getting in high school. I was in a very abusive relationship. I had a boyfriend. He was in the same grade as me. He ended up breaking my nose. And he was just very emotionally abusive. And I thought I loved him, you know.
Of course.
Anyone that paid attention to me, I thought, oh, well, they must really love me. And because I just didn't have that growing up. So
that breaking your nose and that violence was not a deal breaker.
no, it
that
really
was normalized
wasn't.
for you.
Yeah, it was normal.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I ended up breaking up with him, but it was just after so many different things happened, and then I got into an even more abusive relationship, you know, where I was thrown down the stairs, and this guy ended up running my car off the road, and hitting it on 3 different sides. So he didn't just run me off the road. He chased me down 3 different times and hit 3 different sides of my car until it wouldn't move anymore. And I ended up in somebody's front yard, and they came out. And I mean, I thought that was the end right there, you know?
It should have been.
Yeah, it was very scary. Yeah, he had a big monster truck that he was just ramming into my car.
Oh, my goodness.
The driver's side, the front side, the back side.
Thank
So-
God he was keeping you safe.
Yes.
You're still alive.
Yes.
We're thrilled about
thrilled.
that. And where did it go from there?
Well, from there, I ended up getting into another abusive relationship. I mean, it just kept getting worse and worse to the point where this guy was, you know, holding me against my will, telling me if I left, he'd kill me, you know, holding loaded shotguns to my head, crazy stuff like that. So it was around that time where I thought, I got to get out of here, because if I don't, I'm going to end up probably dead. So I just hopped on a plane with $20, a roll-on suitcase, and I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know hardly anybody where I was going. I actually called somebody that I had just met, and when I got to the airport, I said, you know, I'm trying to get out of here. Where is the next flight leaving? And she's like, well, where do you want to go? I was like, anywhere but here. And she was like, well, I got a flight leaving for Orlando in 30 minutes. I was like, I'll take that. So I jumped on the plane and I called. This is before cell phones were real,
Right.
you know. So I called and left a message with this one person that I knew that was doing an internship there. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you can pick me up from the airport, but I'm going to be there soon. So if you can just meet me at the airport, that'd be great. So I didn't even know.
And you got on the plane.
I did. I didn't know if he would be there. He was there. Thank the Lord for that, you know. And then I, you know, got a job and lived there for a while. But that was how I got out of that situation. Yeah.
Well, that took a lot of courage to do that, because when we're conditioned in our childhood to a certain reality, and when we believe we deserve it, because that's just how it is, so we must, right?
Yeah,
And
it's
we just understand this is just how life is. Even if it's not this way for everybody, this is just how life is for me, or within my family, or within my circle, or whatever it is. And I know that. I didn't leave my marriage, even though it was abusive. I didn't leave it for the abuse ever. I left it because he was cheating on me with my best friend.
Yeah.
You know, totally different set of circumstances, though that got me out, and it ended up where I could then start healing from the abuse. But in your case, you made a choice, and you made a radical change to get out of something that would have killed you eventually. Statistically, that's
definitely.
where it would have gone.
Oh, yeah.
And so hugely glad that you made that decision.
Yes, me too.
And then God started coming in somewhere along this journey and changing things. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I, you know, did not have a father, like I said, so I could not understand what God was about. I thought, you know, God is probably real, but I don't understand him at all. And so I just didn't really follow him. And someone asked if they could do Bible studies with me. And I was like, sure. And then I started having like these really powerful spiritual encounters where God was like letting me see into the spirit realm. I was seeing dark stuff. It wasn't good, but it helped me to understand, oh, there's a real spirit realm out there.
Right.
And that is when I started believing, like, okay, if there's some demonic stuff out there, then there's definitely some heavenly stuff. And so God literally scared the hell out of me. And I got, I mean, like literally.
Which took a lot after everything you'd been through.
Yes.
It would take a whole lot to
Yeah.
get your attention after
It
that.
did. It took a few months and several different encounters. And then I surrendered. I was like, I need to know like how to not live like this anymore. I need to know what healthy is. I need to understand who God is. Like, I know he's real now. Now I need to understand who he is. And especially as a father or a loving father. So
Yes, to replace that, and do you feel like he's given you more training in that? You had all of this training,
In the wrong way.
in the wrong way, right? Moving away from God, and then was he retraining you to understand a loving father figure and your identity in Christ?
Yes, definitely. He, it was a long journey, of course, but he
Still is.
The damage didn't happen overnight either. And
That's
so,
right, Yeah. So, I mean, just little by little, he started just doing really sweet things, personal things that really touched my heart. And I, through it all, I had moved back to Tennessee and I was really sick. I got sick with Lyme disease.
Yeah,
and
that's horrible.
It went undiagnosed for a long time. And so I was real sick.
Yeah, that'll do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Without a diagnosis. Yeah.
And then God was speaking to me through that time, like, hey, I'm going to use you to start a ministry. And I was like, what? Like, I can barely get up off the couch right now. Can't, without blacking out, but okay. And he would give me the name and then he would give me, the logo, and I would like lay on my couch and create the logo while I was, just laying there basically. And, he said, I'm going to use you. You just watch and see. And I didn't know what he was planning, but it turns out he led me to start Eternal Heiress Ministries, which, ministers to kids and youth detention centers. So, and he had put in my heart to just kind of go back to maybe like the group home that I spoke to. And actually, I called and they had already closed down. So, but he had a way bigger plan. I thought it was just going to be me.
Oh, yeah, no.
Right.
I've gotten to speak as a part of your ministry. So, he has done a lot and will continue to do a whole lot.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I'm super excited.
Yes.
Isn't that amazing how we just underestimate God every step of the way?
Yeah.
I just have this little, I'm so broken over here. So you can only do this much good.
Yeah.
When in reality, I think what he does is he's like, oh, you're all this broken? Let me do all this healing.
Yeah.
You're not even, you're not even imagining yet.
Yeah.
And the reparenting thing, I was talking about how I needed to grow up and walk that out. And I've been doing it in front of my kids. And so you're basically been doing the same thing. You've been regrowing up in a healthy way, in a different way than all of the damage, which was your actual physical growing up.
Yeah.
Now you have the spiritual and soul and everything growing up and healing in a healthy way, which is amazing.
Yeah. And I like how you said, you opened up the segment with moving, because I had a elder tell me when I was really sick and I was like blubbering, crying up front, and he was like, I just hear the Lord saying the healing is in the going. So it was so restorative,
awesome.
Like all the times before I was waiting for the shoe to drop, the next shoe to drop. And then I'd have to be moved from here to there. And now he's saying, you're going to be healed as you go.
As you go. That's amazing. What the enemy intends for evil, God can use for good, and not just your good, but the good of all the people. He'll use your story and what you're doing in ministry to help, which is phenomenal. Yeah.
And physically, I was healed too, because I could literally not get up off my couch or my bed for like 2.5 years.
Yeah. Lyme disease is destructive.
Wow. Yeah.
And so through that and ministering to others, my heart healed, my body healed.
Praise God.
So
your physical heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
it can't do
Literally all
damage
of
to
it.
your heart. Yeah.
Definitely.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Body, soul, spirit, it takes care of all of it. Mm-hmm. I love it. Even as you lean in that ministry, in the going. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and looking at you, what I've always seen is just the beauty and the glowing, just seeing Christ in you, and that doesn't represent all the damage there.
Yeah.
But I know so much of the damage we go through doesn't show on our faces once we've been healing, because we can continue to heal and glow instead of that, heavy, downcast, distance thing. So, you do shine Christ, and you shine that healing
Thank you.
so beautifully.
Thank you.
Yes, I know that I never would. I mean, I was so shocked when I heard what your backstory was, because I heard you speak at another event, and I just thought, she's just so sweet in your demeanor, and it's warm and it's welcoming. Okay. And I love that. Sometimes it's like we want people to know what we've been through, and they can't ever imagine it. But then other times it's like, this is so different. It's so amazing. It's just a transformation, new in Christ.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. And we're getting to be here, working with you, partnering with you. And I love the fact that God is letting us do that in a variety of ways, right? Including a book that's going to be coming up, and some stuff that is working together to bring more healing and restoration, not just to the kids that you help, but also to women who are out there who are needing that support and encouragement as well, right?
Yeah, because I found that it's not just youth and detention centers, it's women everywhere that have been hurt.
We were the youth, we were the youth.
We are the ones
that would have ended up in these detention centers. So.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm really grateful for my ministry partner, Barbara Ann. She said she's pushed me so far out of my comfort zone, she'll shove me out on stage, go on, you can do this. And I'm like, I don't want to do that, but I do it. And I'm glad, because I think God does work in those things. And she said, you know what, I think we need to do women's ministry. And I was like, I don't think I can speak to women. I think I can speak to the troubled youth, because, I went through that. And she's like, no, you can. And through that, I've learned that I can,
Yes, and you do it well.
Yes.
And we're women that needed help, and you're a woman that needed help.
Yeah.
And so we can all be helping women while we're still healing, which is phenomenal.
Amen to that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mandy, thank you so much for sharing the fertilizer of your past and helping us to understand how we can bloom today.
So I would encourage any woman or young lady that's going through difficult times or abusive relationships that you would reach out to someone and ask for help, and know that is not okay. It's not normal. And even if it seemed normal to you your whole life, it's definitely not normal. And God He wants to restore you. He wants to help you come up out of that. So I would encourage you to reach out to someone, anyone, someone at church, someone you trust, and ask them to help you.